Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. Thanks for joining us. We are live here in the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and for about 18,000 students in the state of Washington, high school students, they're about to get some more resources when it comes to that mental health side of things, and that's because of the Jed Foundation. So we actually spoke to Dr. Tony Walker of the Jed Foundation about that, about what it means for what they do, why it's important to have these resources for suicide prevention and more when it comes to high school students, and just what it means for those in the state of Washington and how that's going to work for them. So here we go.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm Dr. Tony Walker, and I am with the Jed Foundation, which is a national nonprofit dedicated to protecting the emotional health and preventing suicide for our nation's teens and young adults. And I'm our Senior Vice President for School Programs and Consulting.
And when we talk about the Jed Foundation, could you even let us know, what the Jed part is, within that, and then just, what the organization, I guess, sounds like what it stands for, but how it really works, how it works to help out these youth and teens.
Yeah, of course. So again, Jed is a national nonprofit. We were formed in the year 2000 after our founders, Phil and Donna Satow, lost their youngest son, Jed, to suicide when he was a sophomore in college. And so they really took it up as their mission to create an organization that would work with schools across the country to help them as they thought about what it means to really create a safety net of support for the mental health of the students that they serve. So fast forward to today, of course, we've been doing this work for 26 years, now working with more than 1,500 schools across the country, more than 8 million students. And what we do is we really work with them through a sort of a very structured process where we help them to assemble a steering committee of leaders that are going to drive the work forward. We help them to run various assessments to understand the ecosystem of mental health supports that they currently have in place, and then ultimately transition that into a strategic plan so that education leaders know exactly what kinds of supports and programs and services to implement so that their students can flourish.
What are some of the most important things the general public should know about what's happening right now when it comes to the mental health of youth and teens?
Yeah, well, I mean, so many things, right? And one of the things that I would say, and I share this as a former high school teacher and education leader myself, right before my days at Jed, is that school really is a critical part of where students turn to get support. It's where they look for that emotional safety net, both from their peers at school, but also this network of trusted adults that are there. And when you think about where you find young people, right? I mean, the majority of their time is spent in schools, right? Sometimes 40 hours a week. And so that's the first thing, right? School mental health really matters. The second thing that I would say is that, oftentimes when you think about this conversation around school mental health, it's natural to think about, oh, well, it's school counselors, it's school social workers, like that's what they think about. And the challenge I would make to folks is actually to think a little bit bigger. Where we know that the needle really moves in terms of student outcomes is when schools implement what we call a comprehensive approach. And that is when thinking about the mental health of students is really embedded into all aspects of a day. So, for example, how teachers build relationships with their students, or how they create positive classroom culture where students really feel like they belong, right? Those things really matter as well.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's really all aspects then.
It's all aspects.
Yeah. And having somebody think like that. What are some of the biggest challenges that you have as an organization and just, in tackling this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the incredible need, right? So if you were to look at the data right now, you would see that about 40% of high school students, just in the past couple of years alone, have reported feeling chronically hopeless or sad. And so, I mean, 40%, that's nearly half of high school students, right? You zoom in and you think about suicide rates. 20%, that's 1 in 5 students seriously considered suicide in the past year. So the needs are really just sort of overwhelming. And that's exactly why organizations like Jed exist, to be able to step in and help school leaders as they're navigating these really complicated needs.
What are some of the most important things that people at home right now watching this, who may have you know, children or students or someone in their lives, or they could be someone themselves who are experiencing this, that they should know?
Well, and number one, nearly half of teens, if you ask them, say that they don't have the words to ask for help, right? So I think the first thing to name is that programs like Jed High School and the special partnership that we have with a Washington State-based organization called Forefront really matter, because what we're doing is we're helping schools to create the conditions where trusted adults can see and recognize when something might be off with a student, right? And to be able to lean into those conversations. But that's just the first thing to be aware of. The second, as I've already discussed, is just the sheer need. And the third is if you ask students like what they really worried about in the future, and what sort of contributes to their sense of unease about the future, the things that they name might surprise you. So number one, it's a sense of isolation, right? So this connection with peers and with teachers really matters to them. Two, they say things like they worry about the future job market. They worry about rising cost of living. They worry about climate change and what that's going to look like in their future, right? So these are things that young people are really thinking about. And I would just encourage all the adults in their lives to really pay attention, right? Make space for them to talk.
Yeah, to listen to them, and it sounds like a lot of that really is just that personal connection, the ability for somebody to communicate to another person,
Exactly.
whether that's in person in the classroom or wherever it may be.
Exactly.
Well, anything else that you think is important for people to know?
Yes, I do. And that is so the Jed Foundation has a really special partnership with a local organization called Forefront in Schools. And Forefront is a local expert in Washington State, whereas the Jed Foundation, of course, is a big national nonprofit organization that specializes in school mental health. And what we are offering right now is through generous support of Pivotal, we are able to offer this type of programming completely for free to any Washington State high school that would like to take advantage of it. So to learn more, you can go to our website, jedfoundation.org/Washington, and learn all about this program, how we're able to help schools, and the great support that we can bring at no cost to Washington high schools.
All right, so big thank you to the doctor there for joining us to talk about that, and good news as we are here in the middle of Mental Health Awareness Month. This is Fox 12 Now, so thank you for joining us. We have lots more on the Fox 12 Oregon app.